What's up, guys? This is Zach from Vinyl is Dead. This is going to be my first video. So today I will be ranking every single Kiss album. Kiss has been my favorite band and was really the first hard rock band I ever listened to. So now, let's get into it. Number 20, Asylum. Asylum for me was a record that was very undergoing. I didn't really like Kiss as much during the hair metal years, but this record would still be great if it wasn't for it being a Kiss album. Who Wants to Be Lonely is in my top 10 favorite Kiss songs, though, so I will give it that. Other songs I like are All Night and Tears Are Falling. This record is probably about an 8 out of 10. Unmasked at number 19. Unmasked is a record that I feel like is just very forgettable. Same with the next record that we're going to be talking about. The record is very soft compared to all their other stuff. My favorite songs on this record is Talk to Me, Two Sides of the Coin, Torpedo Girl, and Is That You. The record is very fun in some ways. Since I've re-listened to it, it was my number 20 before re-listening to all the records before releasing this video. But on to number 18. At number 18, we have Monster. Monster is an underrated record, I will admit, even though it's 18 on this list. But this record is so forgettable. That's why it's so low. If it wasn't as forgettable, maybe it'd be like number 15 or 14. But instead it has to sit back at number 18. But, the record isn't half bad. There's really good guitar parts. I never thought that Tommy Thayer could really deliver compared to Ace Frehley and Bruce Kulick, but he definitely did. My favorite songs on this record are Freak, Devil Is Me, and Hell or Hallelujah. At number 17, we have Dynasty. My favorite songs on this record are X-Ray Eyes, Dirty Livin', and I Was Made for Lovin' You, Baby. This record gets way too much hate, and a lot of Kiss fans has it as their number 20 on their list. I put it at number 17, giving it grace, because half the record is actually pretty good, and the rest of the record is absolutely garbage. That's kind of the same way as it is with Unmasked, but Unmasked is just forgettable, which makes it be there. Unmasked, to me, is a better record than Dynasty, but I also rank Kiss albums on how forgettable they are, so that's why it's so low. Number 16, we have Hot in the Shade. Hot in the Shade has a lot of very repetitive stuff. Like with the song Boomerang, it's the closer for the record. But it's literally the same song as No, 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 just without the guitar solo at the beginning. It has the same sounding chorus. My favorite songs on this record are probably Hide Your Heart, Little Caesar, Rise to It, and Forever. But other than those, this record is just, again, very forgettable. At number 15, we have Music from the Elder. I actually have this record signed by Gene and Paul. This record is definitely their most hated record. I think it's actually a great record. It's a great prog record. It sounds like if Kiss went to Pink Floyd, but I don't understand how people don't like the record. A lot of Kiss fans are Pink Floyd fans, but yet they hate this record. My favorite songs on the record are The Oath, Just a Boy, Odyssey, and A World Without Heroes. Every song on this record is really good. Even the intro is really good. This record gets way too much hate. You gotta give it a re-listen if you hate it. At number 14, we have Carnival of Souls. This record is actually a really strong grunge record by Kiss. I can't believe it took them 10 years to actually release it after they recorded it. Sadly, every Gene song in this record is absolutely awful. All the Paul songs are great. There's a reason why my favorite songs, Rain, Jungle, and Master and Slave, are my favorites. Give this one a re-listen. Again, this one gets so much hate. At number 13, we have Crazy Nights. Crazy Nights is a record that is basically a mix of Poison and Europe, but it's Kiss. This record is very strong and powerful, with my favorite songs being Reason to Live, Fight Hell to Hold You, and Hell or High Water. This record is just so... It brings back some memories, because this was the first Kiss record I ever heard. I know I didn't start off on Destroyer, but I immediately fell in love with Kiss after listening to this. So give it a re-listen. And number 12 is Psycho Circus. Psycho Circus is the first record back with the original four. Peter left in 1980 and Ace left in 1982. So, this record is actually really good. It's very underrated. My favorite songs on it are Within, the title track, Raise Your Glasses, and I Pledge Allegiance to the State of Rock and Roll. This record is just so powerful and I love every bit of it. At number 11, we have Hotter Than Hell. In my opinion, the most overrated Kiss album of all time. I know all you grandpas or dads in the comments are going to start raging at me. I'm sorry, it's not my fault that this record has such bad quality. It sounds like they recorded it in about 15 minutes and then basically put everything together in about 2. Again, all the songs sound great live. Hotter Than Hell, Parasite, and Watching You are some of my favorite songs to hear live. And my favorite songs on the record are Let Me Go Rock and Roll, Watching You, the title track, and Parasite. This record has a lot of power, but again, not good enough quality to be in the top 10 Kiss records. At number 10, we have Love Gun. Love Gun is a record that I feel like is a little bit overrated just because it has some corny songs like Got Love for Sale, but it has some great songs. Like the start of the record has I Stole Your Love, my favorite song on the record. And then the title track is very powerful, especially with the drums. To me, that's one of Peter Criss's best drum songs. But other than that, the record is very powerful for half the record, and the rest of it is kind of just corny. That's the only reason why it's at number 10. It'd be a lot higher if it didn't have those corny songs in the middle. Now we're on to Sonic Boom at number 9, the most underrated Kiss album in my opinion. Sonic Boom, for a lot of people, is in their least favorites. I love this record. I never gave it a chance until about a few weeks ago, whenever I saw a post online about how underrated it is. So I gave it a listen. I love every track on this record. My favorite tracks are Say Yeah, I'm an Animal, Russian Roulette, and Modern Day Delilah, which my favorite is I'm an Animal. And number 8, we have Lick It Up. Lick It Up is, again, another pretty underrated Kiss record, but a lot of people have it around here on their list. Lick It Up was probably Kiss's most powerful on-guitar record with Vinnie Vincent there. He shredded every single solo. The best songs on this record are All Hell's Breaking Loose, Fits Like a Glove, and Young and Wasted, with my favorite being All Hell's Breaking Loose. That riff at the start is one of my favorite Kiss riffs of all time. And this record is one of my favorite Kiss records of all time. Now, on to Animalize at number 7. Gonna take a second to say rest in peace to Mark St. John, a legend, even though he only had one Kiss record. Basically one major record at all, since he got arthritis in his hands and sadly passed away in 2007. Rest in peace. But this record was so powerful. I keep saying that over and over again, but that's just the only way I can express it. This record had so many rapid-fire riffs, like on Under the Gun, probably my favorite Kiss riff of all time in the 80s. In the 80s specifically, because the 70s, Ace had some really good ones. But this record was so good. My favorite songs are I've Had Enough, Into the Fire, Burn Bitch Burn, Thrills in the Night, and my favorite, Under the Gun. If you don't like this record, you gotta give it another try. I get it, it's an 80s record, but still, give it another listen. Next up, we have Creatures of the Night, which is the guy who basically inspired my channel, Gabe Renfro's favorite album by Kiss. This used to be my favorite album by Kiss, but now that I've basically gone Discog diving for the last year and a half, I've listened to the Kiss full discography at least 40 times now. It's gone down to number 6. My favorite songs on this record are the title track, War Machine, and Danger. A lot of people don't like Danger. I don't know why, but I really love it. It kind of feels like what they did later in the 80s with Crazy Nights, and I really love that record. Number 5, we have Destroyer. Destroyer is a really powerful album that has some great songs, such as Detroit Rock City, Shout It Out Loud, God of Thunder, Do You Love Me, and Flaming Youth. But they sadly have 2 cruddy songs in the middle, Great Expectations and Sweet Pain. Sweet Pain isn't that bad, but Great Expectations is absolutely terrible, which brings this album a little bit down. It'd probably be number 2 or 3 if it wasn't for that problem. But the record is so good, very powerful. I love this album. I'm pretty sure every Kiss fan loves this album so much. Number 4, we have Dressed to Kill. Dressed to Kill is a record that has no skips for me. My favorite songs on it are Love Her All I Can, which has some of Paul's raunchiest vocals and some of the best harmonies in Kiss history, which makes it my favorite song on this album. Two Timer's also really good, and so is Rock and Roll All Night, but Rock and Roll All Night is better with the Alive version. Other than that, the best songs are definitely Rock Bottom. Rock Bottom has a great acoustic intro, and it's one of my favorite Kiss songs of all time. I love this record so much. At number 3, we have the self-titled Kiss record. This record is really good and has some of Kiss's best writing. I love this record so much for a little bit of its simplicity. For some reason, I really like the production in this one. Even though it was very cheap, it still makes the record sound very good. My favorite song on this record is Nothing to Lose, but the other great songs are Strutter, Cold Gin, Black Diamond, and 100,000 Years. I love the power of this record, and it definitely, especially 100,000 Years, has one of the best bass licks of all time. Number 2, we have my favorite original Kiss album with the original 4, Rock and Roll Over. This record has no bad songs. A lot of people don't like Baby Driver, but I really love that song. I feel like it has a different feel. I just wish that they just called it Driver. Don't call it Baby Driver. That doesn't make any sense. But other than that, this record is a 10 out of 10. I Want You and Making Love are some of the fastest Kiss tracks of all time. But the best track on this record has got to be, for me, Take Me. The drum beat is so powerful, and I love it so much. I love this record. 10 out of 10. Now, my most controversial opinion of the video. Revenge, number 1. This has always been my favorite Kiss record. It's great from start to finish. There's not a bad song on it. I used to not like Paralyzed that much, but now that I've given it a re-listen, it's so good. This record, for me, is other people's like Creatures or Destroyer. It's such a good record. I mean, my favorite songs on it are probably Unholy, Take It Off, Tough Love, Spit, Thou Shalt Not, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, and I Just Wanna. This record is so good, and Every Time I Look at You is also a really, really good Kiss ballad. Everything on this record is good, and I felt like this was great compared to their 1989 album, Hot in the Shade. Alright, guys. Thank y'all for watching this video. This was a very long one, especially for a starting off one, but I had to do my favorite band of all time first, which has 20 records. My inspiration for this is Gabe Renfro, and if you're watching, hi. But anyway, this has been Vinyl is Dead, signing off. Peace.